Welcome to The Explainer. So, there's this new AI research paper out there, and it's proposing something pretty radical. What if an AI could teach itself entirely from scratch? Today, we're diving into the R0 framework and why it might just change the game. Okay, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with the huge problem R0 was built to solve. Then we'll meet the framework itself, see how its two-player system actually works, look at the proof, understand its wider impact, and then wrap up with a pretty big question about the future. First up, let's talk about the data bottleneck. So, why is a self-teaching AI such a big deal? Well, to really get it, you have to understand this massive wall that AI development has basically run headfirst into. It's a problem of scale and, human limitation. We kind of picture these advanced AIs as these independent thinkers, right? But the truth is, even our most powerful models learn in a way that's completely 100% dependent on us, their human creators. That's right. For an AI to learn just about anything, whether it's telling a cat from a dog or writing code, it needs this huge, hand-built library of problems and solutions. This is the bedrock of AI training. And all that work is done by a literal army of human annotators. And this right here, this is the fundamental bottleneck. It's not just that it's slow and incredibly expensive, it actually puts a hard cap, a ceiling, on how smart AI can get. I mean, if an AI can only ever learn what we explicitly teach it, how can it ever get smarter than us? So, how do you smash through that wall? Well, the R0 paper offers up a pretty radical solution. Just let the AI teach itself. Yeah, just imagine you press a button and the system starts generating its own problems, figuring out its own answers, and learning from its own screw-ups, all starting from a totally blank slate. That's the whole idea behind R0, a framework for a truly autonomous learner. Now, look, that's a huge claim, right? But the authors really believe this isn't just some clever training hack. They see it as a critical step, a scalable pathway toward AI that can actually, truly improve itself. So how does this whole self-teaching thing actually work? Well, the secret isn't just one AI, but two. They're locked in what the paper calls a co-evolving dance. Let's meet the challenger and the solver. They both start out as clones, basically identical copies of the same base AI. But they're quickly pushed into these two totally different competitive roles. Honestly, the best way to think about it, it's like a personal trainer who knows exactly how to push an athlete right to their absolute limit. Okay, so this whole thing runs in a loop, and it's this really powerful feedback cycle. The challenger cooks up a problem, the solver tries to crack it. Then, and this is key, the system rewards the challenger for creating a problem that's just right on the edge of what the solver can handle. The solver then trains on those very problems, which of course makes it smarter, and that forces the challenger to come up with even tougher stuff. You see, they're constantly pushing each other to level up. And here is the absolute secret sauce. The challenger doesn't get points for stumping the solver completely. No, it gets rewarded for hitting that perfect sweet spot of difficulty, that point where the solver is the most uncertain about whether it's right or wrong. And according to the research, that sweet spot is a 50% success rate. Think about it. Any easier, and the AI isn't really learning anything new. Any harder, and it's just flailing around, basically guessing. 50%, that is the Goldilocks zone for the most efficient learning. Okay, this all sounds great in theory, but did it actually work? Well, the researchers put it to the test, and the results are pretty compelling. Let's look at the data. And the results are pretty striking. They took a base AI model, and just by using the R0 framework, they significantly boosted its performance on math reasoning, pushing its score from about 42.5 all the way up to 49. So that's a jump of nearly 6.5 points on average across a bunch of different math benchmarks. But here's the wild part. They did this with zero human-labeled training data. The AI literally taught itself and got smarter all on its own. But in this process of self-improvement, the researchers uncovered a really fascinating and critical trade-off. There's a hidden catch in the system that we really need to dig into. So here's the deal. On one hand, the challenger is doing its job perfectly. It keeps making the questions harder and harder. But here's the downside. The solver checks its own homework, right? It generates its own answer key. And as the problems get harder, its ability to do that accurately, well, it starts to drop. The paper shows its answer key accuracy fell from 79% all the way down to 63% in just a few cycles. This is a huge deal. It's a key limitation and a big focus for future work. So the next massive question is, okay, it got better at math, but did that make the AI smarter at other stuff? And this is where the real power of R0 just shines through, because the answer was a huge yes. I mean, the skills generalized incredibly well. The very same AI, after training itself only on math, saw its performance jump by over 7.5 points on tests for general reasoning. We're talking grad-level questions that have nothing to do with math. This is big. It suggests R0 isn't just cramming facts. It's upgrading the model's fundamental ability to think. And this might be the most practical takeaway from the whole paper. R0 doesn't necessarily have to replace human data. It can make it way more powerful. So when the researchers tried pre-training a model with R0 first and then fed it the usual human-curated data, it scored over 2 points higher than a model that only got the human data. It's like R0 primes the pump, getting the AI ready to learn even more effectively from us. Okay, so what should we take away from all this? What's the big picture here for the future of AI? When you boil it all down, R0 shows us a real workable path around that human data problem. It creates this self-improving loop where an AI builds its own personalized curriculum from scratch. And in doing so, it improves its core reasoning skills in a way that feels like a genuine step towards truly self-evolving intelligence. And that really just leaves us with the one big provocative question that this research puts on the table. The push towards self-improving intelligence is clearly speeding up, and frameworks like this are laying the track. Thanks for joining this explainer.